Here's a Florida economic statistic that I think is pretty remarkable. Florida's economy has now grown to $1.8 trillion, making Florida the 14th largest economy in the entire world. And think about that for a moment. Florida's economy is now larger than the economies of both Australia and Mexico. And according to the Florida Chamber Foundation, the state's economy grew about 6.3% over the past year. But here's the part that I think is especially interesting if you own real estate in South Florida or you're considering buying here. Florida isn't just growing because more people are moving here. The state continues to attract businesses, investment, entrepreneurs, and high income households. The Florida Chamber Foundation points to Florida ranking number one nationally in areas including new business startups, net income migration, and new business migration. And real estate is a huge part of that economic story. A recent National Association of Realtors analysis found that real estate accounted for more than 25% of Florida's entire economy in 2025, representing roughly $473.7 billion in economic activity. Now, that doesn't mean Florida real estate is automatically going up every year. In fact, we're seeing a much more balanced market right now. Inventory has increased in many parts of the state, and buyers have more choices than they did during the pandemic boom. But that's actually an important distinction. A strong economy doesn't guarantee that every property will appreciate. What it does provide is a much stronger underlying foundation for long-term demand. And here in South Florida, that matters. We're competing in a global marketplace for people, capital, and businesses. And Florida's economic growth makes the state increasingly relevant on that global stage. So if you own a luxury property in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, or anywhere along South Florida's waterfront, I think the bigger story isn't simply are home prices going up? The better question is, how does the growing economic strength of Florida affect the long-term demand for the type of property I own? That's a much more interesting question, and it's one worth looking at before you make your next real estate decision. If you'd like to know how these larger economic trends are affecting your specific property and neighborhood, send me a message. I'm happy to give you my perspective without the sales pitch.